Don't get too comfortable, you're just a visitor here now. The words didn't echo. They settled, heavy, deliberate, right on my chest as I stood at the head of the dining table I had spent all day preparing. My name is Evelyn Carter, I'm 52. How do you accept being erased from a home you built with your own hands? The candles flickered gently, their soft glow dancing across the polished wood table. Every dish, every single one, was mine. The roasted chicken still steamed, the scent of garlic and rosemary filling the air. The silverware gleamed because I had polished it myself just hours ago. And yet, I felt invisible. My mother didn't even look at me after she said it. She reached for her glass like I was part of the furniture. My stepfather nodded in quiet agreement, chewing slowly, like this moment was ordinary. My sister, she smirked. That small, sharp smile she had mastered since childhood, the one that always meant she was enjoying something she shouldn't. Someone laughed softly at the far end of the table. I couldn't even tell who. The chair beside me felt strange. Like it had already accepted I didn't belong there anymore. I looked at the table, at the house, at them, and for the first time I realized I had been a guest in my own life for far too long. I didn't move right away. The room carried on without me like a scene I had quietly stepped out of. Plates clinked. Someone asked for more gravy. My sister leaned back in her chair, laughing a little too loudly at something my stepfather said. I stood there, still holding the serving spoon. The candles flickered again, softer this time, like they were losing patience. I told you she'd take it personally, my sister muttered under her breath, not even trying to hide it. I didn't say anything harsh, my mother replied calmly, dabbing her lips with a napkin. She needs to understand boundaries. Boundaries. The word landed differently this time. Cleaner. Sharper. I placed the spoon down gently beside the dish. No noise. No reaction. Just quiet. Then I turned. The hallway felt colder than the dining room. Or maybe it was just me finally noticing it. My heels clicked softly against the floor as I walked upstairs. Slow, steady, like I had all the time in the world. Halfway up, I heard my stepfather's voice. She'll come back down. She always does. Pause. Then a low, knowing chuckle. But I didn't stop. My room, no, the room they still called mine, was exactly how I left it. Neat. Controlled. Temporary. My purse rested on the dresser. Waiting. For a second I just stood there staring at it, like it already knew what I was about to do. Maybe it did. Because for the first time in years, I wasn't going back downstairs. I picked up my purse, slowly, like I didn't want to disturb the silence that had finally chosen my side. The zipper made a soft, deliberate sound as I opened it. Inside, everything was exactly where it should be: wallet, keys, a folded receipt, and my phone. Downstairs, laughter rose again. Louder this time. Comfortable. Like I had already disappeared. For a moment I just stood there listening. Then I unlocked my phone. The screen lit up my face in the dim room, cold and steady. My thumb hovered for a second, then pressed. First call. The house account. A calm voice answered, polite, professional. I stepped closer to the window, watching the faint reflection of myself staring back. Yes, I said quietly, my voice even. I'd like to make a few adjustments. No anger. No rush. Just clarity. As the instructions left my lips, something inside me shifted, like a door closing gently but permanently. Downstairs, a chair scraped loudly. Evelyn, my mother's voice called out, slightly annoyed now. Are you coming back or not? I didn't answer. Instead, I ended the call and opened the next app. Bills. Transfers. Permissions. One by one. Each tap felt lighter than the last. The house around me, this home they claimed, was quieter now, almost like it was holding its breath. And for the first time, they were the ones about to feel what it meant to be a guest. My phone screen dimmed for a second, then lit up again as another confirmation appeared. Changes successful. I stared at those two words longer than I expected. Not because I doubted them, but because of how quiet they felt. Downstairs, a sudden pause cut through the laughter. Then, why did the lights flicker? My sister's voice, sharp and irritated. I didn't move. I just adjusted one more setting, my fingers steady, almost gentle. It's probably nothing, my stepfather said, though his tone had lost some of its earlier confidence. Another tap. The soft hum of the central air slowed, then stopped. Silence crept in, subtle at first. The kind you only notice when something familiar disappears. I exhaled slowly. My reflection in the window looked different. Not stronger. Not colder. Just clear. A plate clattered downstairs. "Mom, what's going on?" my sister asked, her voice rising now. "I don't know," my mother replied, but this time there was a crack in it. Small but real. I reached into my purse again and pulled out a folded document. The edges were worn, like it had been waiting for this exact moment. The house felt still around me, like it was listening. I ran my fingers lightly over the paper, then smiled just barely, because everything they thought they owned had never truly belonged to them. I unfolded the document slowly, the paper making that soft, dry sound that always reminded me of final decisions. Downstairs, footsteps moved faster now. "Check the breaker," my stepfather called out, trying to sound in control. "It's not the breaker," my sister snapped back. "The stove just shut off." Her voice carried panic now, raw and unfiltered. I glanced at the document again. My name sat at the top. Clear. Undeniable. Authorization. Control. Words they had never bothered to ask about, because they assumed they already knew their place in this house. And mine. A memory slipped in quietly, 2 years ago, sitting at the same desk, signing everything while my mother smiled distractedly, barely reading a single page. "Just handle it," she had said. "You're good with these things." I was too good, apparently. A knock hit the door behind me. Not loud, but urgent. "Evelyn," my mother's voice. Different now. "Careful. What's going on?" I didn't turn around. My fingers traced the edge of the paper once more before I folded it neatly and placed it back into my purse. Another knock. Harder this time. "Evelyn, open the door." I finally looked at it. At the barrier between their sudden confusion and my quiet certainty. And for the first time, I let them wait. The knocking didn't stop. It changed. From controlled, to impatient, to something closer to desperation. "Evelyn, this isn't funny," my stepfather's voice cut in louder now. "Open the door." I walked toward it slowly, my hand brushing against the wall, feeling the faint texture of paint I had chosen years ago. I remembered standing in a store holding 2 shades of white while my mother sighed behind me. "Why do you care so much?" "It's just a wall." It was never just a wall. I stopped just before the door. Close enough to hear their breathing on the other side. "You need to turn everything back on," my mother said, her voice tight. "The guests are confused." Guests. The word lingered. I looked down at the handle, but didn't touch it. "Dad," I spoke. "Come. Even." "No," I said quietly. Silence followed. Heavy. Disbelieving. "What do you mean no?" my sister snapped, her voice sharper than before. "You're being ridiculous." I let a small pause settle. Just long enough. Then I reached into my purse again and pulled out my phone. One more tap. Downstairs, a soft mechanical click echoed through the house. The front door unlocking system disengaged, security permissions shifting. Control returning. "To be clear," I said, still facing the closed door, "I'm not the one visiting." No one spoke this time. Because somewhere between the silence and the shadows, they were finally starting to understand. I stepped back from the door, my hands resting lightly on the frame. The house felt different now, hollow, expectant. From downstairs came the soft shuffle of feet, hesitant, uncertain. The laughter, the smirks, the casual authority. All gone, replaced by silence that pressed against the walls like a living thing. "Evan, please," my mother whispered, almost pleading this time. I tilted my head, listening. Even my sister's usual sharp voice was subdued, brittle. "You've changed the whole setup?" my stepfather asked finally, voice cracking in the corners, trying to mask the panic. I didn't answer immediately. I just held up my phone. The light stayed off, the oven cold, the central system muted. Every device, every appliance, every comfort I had once provided was now under my control. "You wanted to erase me," I said softly, "but I was never gone. I just waited." Another pause. Then, barely audible, my sister muttered, We can't even fix this." And that's when it struck me, the poetic irony. Years of mocking me, belittling me, making me feel small. Now even the simplest act of daily life had become impossible without me. I smiled faintly, almost tenderly. Not cruelty. Just recognition. Because sometimes revenge isn't about breaking things. It's about showing them what life feels like, when the person they thought they could control finally lets go. The house remained quiet, obedient, and for the first time in decades the air belonged to me. I closed the door softly behind me, letting the quiet settle like a blanket. The house still hummed with tension, every room waiting, listening, but it no longer belonged to them. It belonged to me. I walked slowly through the hall, touching the walls lightly, remembering every insult, every smirk, every visitor comment they had thrown my way over the years. Each one had shaped this moment. Each one had carved the path to quiet justice. Downstairs I heard them whispering, their voices tight, uncertain. My mother's usual composure cracked with the weight of realization. My sister's smirk had dissolved entirely. Even my stepfather's nods of superiority had faded, replaced with hesitation. I paused in the living room, looking around at the space I had once filled with love, care, and endless patience. I realized then, revenge doesn't need to be loud. It doesn't need to destroy. It only needs to awaken understanding. I picked up the house keys I had set aside earlier, held them lightly in my hand, and smiled. A small, calm smile that carried decades of endurance and finally clarity. I turned toward the window, watching the late afternoon light spill across the floor. They would rebuild their sense of control slowly, if at all, but I had reclaimed mine. Not with anger. Not with confrontation. But with quiet authority. Some lessons, I thought, are best delivered silently. And today they had learned theirs.